Hello?
Welcome to New York Nerd Show. We've got I Stream, You Stream. How's it going, Lord Cash?
Lord Cash is doing all right.
Are you ready to finish this review? We just started it, but
it would be a fatality of a mistake if we didn't.
I think so. We're going to be struggling for, I think, tonight. We might be able to pull some out.
Yeah, well, we might have some crispy jokes to mention.
So with that said, so tonight we are going to be basically reviewing, as you might have noticed, we're going to be reviewing the Mortal Kombat movie that recently came out on HBOMax. I believe it came out, it officially debuted like, it was the first week or second week of April. So it's been about a month now.
Yeah, roughly around that time frame is when it came out. So, and I think it's only got about another 2 more weeks to be on HBO Max before it leaves, and it will be exclusively available in the theaters until it comes to your pay-per-view and video home things and stuff services.
Right. So now so as we get started, right, the Mortal Kombat franchise has actually had a few different movie installments. There was the original Mortal Kombat that came out, I believe, in 1996. That starred Christopher Lambert as Raiden, in addition to other characters. Now, did you ever see the original one, Lord Cash?
Yes, the one that came out. Yeah, it was 1995. The original one. It was pretty bad.
See, I didn't think it was that bad. I enjoyed it.
Now you are thinking of this from nostalgia. Like, when was the last time you actually watched this movie?
It's probably been like 2 or 3 years.
Okay, and you still think it's a good movie?
I think it's a above average movie. Now, there's Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which was the sequel 2 years later. That was absolutely atrocious. That was a dumpster fire of a movie.
Yes. No, I recently watched it. I don't know if it's been 2 years, but I know it's been under 5 years since I've watched that.
Right.
And it was, to me, just not good.
Now, I'm looking for a pack of my Mortal Kombat trading cards from that movie. What was it about that movie that stood out to you as being
bad? Not good?
Yeah.
Bottom line, there was a story. There was this very little story. You just literally turn the corner and there's a character like, oh, we must fight now.
Right. Here they are.
There was very minimal of a storyline, where there is a rich storyline to this video game property that there should be an easier way to do. Like, there literally should be some sort of tournament within the movie.
Well, to be fair, at that point, in 1996, Ed Tobias, basically, who created the movie with also with Boone, they hadn't really established as much of a mythos, so to speak. Like the first Mortal Kombat, for the most part, was there's a fight to save Earth from Earthrealm. The evil wizard Shang Tsung and his puppet, so to speak, actually literally, Prince Goro, and that was about it. Whereas now we are nearly 30 years removed from the initial Mortal Kombat game being released, and now there is an intense amount of story that they're able to play around with. It is definitely a luxury that the original crew did not have when they released this movie back in the day.
But I don't know. I feel that they did not have, and this movie still falls short of the same storyline, but there literally will be a tournament in both movies.
Right.
Neither tournament really truly happens.
True.
So how can they go on the storyline of the outer world has won for the past 9 years in a row, and now if they win it for like the 10th year, then they win dominion over Earth or whatever, how it's supposed to be. Okay, what happened to that tournament? And they just never truly ever happened. And then I feel like that is what is missing from the actual thing. There should have been brackets. There should have actually had, Sub-Zero going up against Jax. You should have Sonya Blade going up against Kung Lao, or whatever the case may be. And just like literally, okay, here's the good guy, here's the bad guys. And then, have them, trying to cheat. It should have been a Karate Kid type of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, so okay,
that's my personal opinion.
Right. So I guess if we take the original movie and set it to the side,
yes.
It sounds like you have very similar thoughts on maybe the newer one, because like Bitter Ritz, actually, she did see some of it. In this one they did have a little bit of a tournament style going on, in the sense of they still did have a lot of one-on-one matches that were organized in order to allow the characters to find their special. You know what I mean? Like in order to find like their actual signature maneuvers, so to speak. They did have one-on-one fights. It didn't feed into the idea of saving Earthrealm directly, but like that's how Liu Kang figures out he can do his bicycle kick, or that Jax gets his steroided, buffed up arms instead of the little like flimsy praying mantis ones. So I mean, they did have more of a tournament in this newest one. I mean, would you disagree, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Because and then the new movie, they're training.
Yeah.
There's not a tournament.
Right.
Good guys are going up against good guys, so that way they can find their, for lack of better words, I'm going to use it because I can't remember what it is, but I'm going to go with the word cheat. They have to find out what their special move is. Whether it is coming with fire or shooting a laser bolt out of your eye. You've got to find out what your special move is, so to speak. And so you've got the good guys training the good guys to figure out that, before, spoiler here a little bit, before Kano, turns to the dark side, if you will. But that's not a tournament. The only tournament, and I'll use air quotes when I say tournament, is when at the very end, okay, we've got to win this battle. So you go up against you go up against you, you're going to win too. What about Sub-Zero? Well, we're all going to have to come and fight Sub-Zero at the end. So that really wasn't a tournament. That was a fight.
Right. So
only because of Cole being of the descendant of the original Scorpion, having the
spoilers ahead on that one either.
I figured I've already said it once, Yeah. This is a full review. But they having that, he's got the mark since birth, whereas all the other ones they transfer through killing, someone else, which I think that was a cool thing, because the champion is always changing the. It's kind of almost a Mortal Kombat / Highlander, where there can be only one type of person with a mark, or at least a select few.
Right.
So if you killed someone, then you get their mark, and now you're that realm's champion, one of their champions. But I just now despite all this, you may not might believe this, but I actually did enjoy this version of the movie, the 2021 release. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that no matter what my nostalgia might be for the original, I think this one was far superior.
Oh, absolutely. This one had more of a storyline, building it from scene to scene to scene. It just wasn't all right, turn the corner, time to fight. Turn the corner, time to fight. Hey, I don't like you, let's fight. Which that seemed to be the premise of the original. Now, mind you, I totally 100% understand the reasoning and the marketing potential backing behind the original movie. It was to sell toys. I totally 100%. So of course you want to have this character and this character fight. So
Right.
I 100% understand it. However, as a moviegoer, I want to also be entertained
Right.
while I'm watching the movie, not just to go, an hour and a half, 90-minute commercial for all this product that's going to be at Toys R Us, whatever the case may be back in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, and even now, I mean, don't get me wrong, when it first came out, I was like, because the characters were fresh at the time.
Right.
I mean, Scorpion was like brand new, because I can remember like one of the biggest moments was like when Scorpion shoots the spear out of his hand, and I remember going, "Oh, there he is! There's Scorpion!" And again, like I said, that was more of a like I said, it really is hard to compare them in some ways other than title. I mean, it's fair to compare them because it is what it is. It's a Mortal Kombat video game movie. But again, I think that, as I mentioned before, I think that they did have more of a luxury as far as having more years of experience. Plus, also, I mean, this doesn't really. So, okay, here's the bottom line. It was also more freeing because the bottom line is the first movie was a theatrical release, and they had to walk that line where they knew that kids were going to be the ones that really are going to try to bring their families to watch us in the theaters. So they couldn't go for like a hard R or anything. Whereas this one is practically NC-17. It's bananas. It's like the gore factor in this new 2021 installation of the Mortal Kombat review, a movie. I'm looking at our screen. It's so hardcore. I mean, you have Kung Lao actually doing his trademark splitting the guy in half fatality with his saw blade hat. I mean,
Yeah.
And it looks real because they actually have real people and not just, I mean, granted, the new games are looking pretty real too, but, just having that alone, I mean, Jax gets his arms frozen and then ripped off. That's how they explain the
Mechanical ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, just that concept alone is pretty cool. And the fact that they had that more ability to be, again, truly Mortal Kombat.
Right. Yeah, definitely the advancement in technology. So one of the things that I kind of say, when people say this movie should get remade or this should be, redone or whatever the case should be, that is technology. Has technology come far enough that by redoing this movie would actually look better? And I feel that a Mortal Kombat remake that we've just gotten, 95 to 2021, that's a good, 26 years?
Yeah.
So there's you've got that time frame of, okay, yes, technology. Goro is definitely, not done the same way. He's more CGI, more what's the word I'm looking for? Motion capture.
Yeah. In the original, it was actually a
guy in a puppet suit.
Yeah.
He had the whole harness thing, and his lower arms were his real ones, but they had mechanical ones for his uppers.
And for what I understand, that suit was about 50 pounds on his body, which again, I give them all the credit in the world for being able to do that back in the day.
Absolutely.
I guess so. So we talk about the hindsight of that, the ability to have like more in-depth fights. I did actually enjoy the way that the Scorpion Sub-Zero rivalry is really what truly was the actual framework, the spine, I guess, for lack of a better term or for joke.
I was going to say heart, but Yeah.
Well, that's Kano. We'll get to him in a minute. But like that was the framework for the movie itself, and then they built these other side quests on top of it. Was like you had mentioned how they ended up all going up against Sub-Zero. Did that grasp you? Because I'm pretty confident that you weren't probably not familiar with that story and that history between Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
I know that they have been longtime rivals. throughout the gaming history. They are pretty much your. If you were to say, give me 3 characters from a Mortal Kombat movie, I guarantee you 90% of the people will, if they don't give you one of those names, they're going to give you both of those names as, the characters that they're going to say, because those are your most recognizable, most wow, what's the word I'm looking for? Not synonym, but
like
synonymous.
iconic, or symbolic of the game, but they're definitely the most iconic characters. That's why they're always in these games, and
Right.
because in the first game, realistically, Johnny Cage, he looks straight up human.
Yeah.
Yang, same thing. Kano had the eye, but Sonya Blade, and other than that, you had Goro. Goro stood out for sure, but the other ones are pretty much standard characters. But all of a sudden, you have a ninja. Oh man. So like it was one of those games, and Bitter is just saying they're synonymous with the series, which is
that's what I was trying to get out.
But I absolutely enjoyed this, movie for sure. As a longtime fan of not only the game but the overall mythos of it. I have so many books and comics and strategy guides, and I've played through every single game that I can think of, even like Mythologies, which was not a very good game. Just it was relatively faithful, and I do understand also why the creators of this did have to they created that extra character. He my God, what was the main character's name? You just
Cole
mentioned
Young.
Yeah, Cole Young. He was not in the Mortal Kombat mythos, but that allowed the creators of this to actually have a little bit of freedom with the story. Oh, really? Okay. And because otherwise you would have to follow the story of a particular character all the way through. Otherwise, you'd basically make the internet fans mad. Whereas in this case, I don't know how many people would have been mad. Maybe there were some people complaining. But it tied in. It tied in well to what we're going for, and especially with the idea of, and then I will say that the one thing does tie into him, is that unofficially, well, not bottom line is the original story of Scorpion is all his family gets killed.
Right.
There is no one hidden family member, which is Cole. Well, technically, it's Cole, the descendant that went to Cole. But I don't think it's a big deal that you had one character kind of survive. Again, it helped tell the story. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just thought that it was really good. I like the idea of there are so many in sort of jokes. I don't know what else you say, but there'll be little things we're basically, you would have I think they did make a comment of finish him or fatality. Right. They made these little comments all throughout.
There was those little puns from the video game, those homage. So yeah, they quoted the game a lot within the movie.
Right.
So again, it was just fan service. That's all that was. That was purely fan service to people. Have that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio going,
"Oh yeah, right, yeah."
That happened the entire movie. I see what they did there. I see what they did there. Roll credits. They said Mortal Kombat. Roll credits.
Exactly. But they similar to the old ones, both the original and also Annihilation. I do feel like they were trying to cram in as many characters as they possibly could. Because obviously you had Jax, you had Raiden, you had Melina, Kung Lao. They're all in there. One character that it seems is really standing out from the pack for anybody that I've talked to, and even the internet community in general, has to be Kano. The character of Kano, who believe I'm looking up right now who played him. I didn't recognize him at all in general, but Josh Lawson, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Fantastic portrayal of Kano, really giving more depth to him, because Kano has a lot of lore. Don't get me wrong; he has a lot of lore in the comic books of the game, but also the game story. He was the leader of the the Red Lotus, I believe it was. Anybody that's watching this right now, correct me if I'm wrong. It was something along those lines. Has a long history with Sonya Blade, and Jax, Jackson Briggs. But man, he was so funny in this movie. Do you agree? Like, did Kano really stand out to you?
He definitely did. He had those good liners throughout the movie. Now, and I could be wrong here, but I thought that. So before watching the movie, I'm gonna rewind on myself. Doing my best to stay away from certain spoilers, but again, this is a movie that I kind of know the premise. You've done this once, you've done it twice. There's not that much that you could spoil that would technically ruin the movie.
Right.
You can kind of let loose some of the plot points, but it's not going to ruin the movie by any means. So by that, and I've seen this story a couple times. They did it with oh bugger, what is his name now again? The guy who plays the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
Yep, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Was that?
No, exactly. Let's move forward. But yes, we can insert it in post.
So, but basically, there's like a news story that so and so is in the hospital for back problems because he's carrying the entire Star Wars franchise on his back. And there was another one that was recently done. And I was like, no. I think it was like. I think it was like Baron Zemo had the same. I'm like, no, he's not carrying. I'm like, he's doing the heavy lifting with some other ones, but I can't remember if it was actually related to Falcon and the Soldier. But I thought they said that the actor that played Pedro Pascal, thank you, that the actor that played Cole was in the hospital because he's carrying this entire franchise, and I was just like. After watching, I'm like, Cole didn't carry this movie.
No, the character, like I mentioned before, he's kind of like the character carried the movie in a sense during the parts when Scorpion was kind of off. Because the story was ultimately built around him, trying to find
right, but he didn't carry.
No,
the actor himself did not carry.
No.
His character's story arc is what carried that progressed the movie throughout it, but it was not by no means. Now, I'd have to go back to find out if I just misread and it actually said Kano versus Cole.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility. But my oldest son, when I said that, he'd already seen the movie. He's like, yeah. So I think I don't know if we had a misunderstanding on which character we were talking about, but definitely Kano was definitely one of the highlights of the film was some of his banter that he had between, the Cole and Sonya, a little bit with Jax, going on and just everything, like umbrellas or something. They don't make them like they used to, or scepter staffs or whatever he blew up.
One of the best scenes in the movie actually had to do with, in my opinion anyway, was Kano's interactions at the dinner table with Liu Kang. Where Kano was just running down everybody at the table and getting everybody upset, and then Liu Kang started like completely ragging on him, and Liu Kang was ragging on him, and that ultimately led to Kano getting his chi first when he got so mad that he zapped it out with his laser eye. I mean, there were so many funny moments in that particular one as well. And again, coming into Mortal Kombat the movie after seeing so much of the visuals leading up to it and some of the trailers, I try to avoid them as well, but it just looked gory, and that was the main thing I was anticipating, and it delivered, don't get me wrong, but I didn't anticipate laughing as much as I did in Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Anybody that's playing the games for a long time would know, though, there is a lot of comedy in Mortal Kombat. I mean,
yeah.
For crying out loud, as a response to all of the congressional debates over the game back in the day, which caused the video game US ESRB ratings, that's why they started doing babalities and friendships. I mean, that was that was one of the big reasons why Mortal Kombat kind of became a little bit ridiculous too. And Bitter Ritz did have to cover her eyes for a few times during the gore, but she kept her eyes closed for like a long time at one point. She fell asleep.
There's some gory scenes going on.
Oh, absolutely. It was pretty brutal. What I did watch the other day actually is there is another Mortal Kombat movie that HBO is currently showing. It's an anime, but it's called Scorpion's Revenge.
Okay.
And that takes the gore to the most ridiculously high level that I've ever seen in a movie. Scorpion is literally getting into fights with ninjas and slicing them in like 7 ways. It's absurd the amount of gore in that particular movie. So anybody that might say, "Oh man, this is brutal," watch the anime.
Well, once you get to 5, that gets too easy. Anything 5 and below, it's so that's why you got to work your way up to 6, 7 times. Slicing people.
Yeah, exactly. Because you slice them 4 times, like you're saying, they might get up. They might get up. So I'm trying to think, some other things. Again, the movie I thought was solid. Now, one character that was conspicuous by his absence was Johnny Cage. So,
you saw his name.
Yes, especially near the end. Now,
that's what I'm referring to. That's kind of the setting up the sequel to potentially have him be in the next movie. And they're actually talking about, pardon my interruption, but they possibly are talking about doing a Cage movie that's like literally focusing more on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that definitely sequel bait.
Now, did you hear, at least in the probably our community, who is being pushed heavily to try to take that character?
Yes, I have.
It's pretty awesome, if you ask me.
I can't even think. I was going to be like, fact.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Mizzanian, The Miz in the WWE universe, is being pushed heavily to be Johnny Cage in the next movie. We'll see if that's more than just an online push. But I mean, character wrestling wise, pretty. I don't know. I don't think it's too far off.
It just.
She'll play Shiva.
Yeah, that'll go over real well.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of, as far as Johnny's character wise, he's a martial artist, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So he would definitely have to learn a lot of those stunts to be able to perform the role, adequately, which I feel that's something that in his wheelhouse that he could do. It just would have to, there would have to be a lot of stunt choreography going on to get him to that stage. Whereas, if he's playing the Marine, that's I don't want to downgrade it, but there's more hand-to-hand fighting combat versus the kicking and the jumping that goes along with martial arts.
World famous hit kicks.
Are those his?
Daniel Bryan's no longer in the company, so I think they're all his.
True. Just by association, they are his. But yeah, no, he's The Miz has done several movies. I think they've mostly been tied to WWE. I don't think he's actually had anything that's outside of like the WWE production company.
Right, the W Studios, yeah. I mean, he I think this was probably part of it too, but he was also in the Jingle All the Way sequel, I believe, too, with Paige and Santino Marella. Could be wrong on that, but either way, I do think that he seems up for anything. But again, that's just all like rumor, right? And just kind of like interesting. And yes, the Miz and Mrs. is definitely something.
I would totally be on board. I feel that his persona that he gives off or at least as the character of the Miz. I can't speak to how his character is off camera, so to speak. Even though like in the reality show he's on camera, but it's kind of the home life. But I'm sure that persona is very much that of a Johnny Cage.
Right.
So I would not be opposed to this. I don't know if there would be someone who would be a better fit. But again, if someone to go, hey, what about this guy? I'd be like, yeah, that guy would be good at it.
Right. And that's, as wrestling fans, like we're going to latch onto it, whereas I'm sure there's so many people that if that name even came up to be like, who's that? Yeah. He's not exactly Hulk Hogan. I mean, he's been with the company for 16 years, earned his respect in this and that world, but we shall see. There really weren't any, that's the thing too, though. I didn't know who any of these actors were coming into it. Yeah. Who was it?
So the actor that plays Jax, the black guy, he is Jimmy Olsen off of the WB or the CW Supergirl series.
Okay.
So I'm looking at him like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And because the mustache was throwing me off. Gotcha. But I'm like, I'm hearing and listening. I'm like, I know this guy. I know who this is. And I finally had to look him up. I'm like, it's Jimmy Olsen.
Of course.
But that was pretty much the only person that I like straight up like I knew. But the guy who does play Kano does the name, and I'm scrolling through, looking up on IMDb. Does the name Kench Allenby sound familiar?
I think I used to deliver his newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I have no clue who that is.
So he was in Anchorman 2.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
So if Kench Allenby sounds familiar, he was in there. So whether or not it was a what's what I'm looking for, a notable character, or if he was kind of just a side character.
Oh my God. I'm actually looking at him right now in Anchorman 2. Yeah. I would never have picked up on that because the hair. He has like really weird I'll share the screen for what it's worth. Here we go. I don't know how many people would really notice, but maybe. Right here, he's right there in the blonde hair and the red tie. There's Kano.
Hang on, let me add it to the stream. That with the long hair.
Right there.
Yeah, so he's with what is his Mads? Man, I am just like blanking on all sorts of names. James Marsden.
That's him.
From whatchamacallit.
Yeah, you remember the name, but you don't know what.
From the X-Men franchise, he was Cyclops.
Okay, yeah, wow. See, I wouldn't have picked up on that either. But yes, you're right. So I don't know. I mean, I guess ultimately, I definitely enjoyed the Mortal Kombat movie 2021. If you had to give it, out of a 10, what would you rate this movie?
I would give it. I would not go below 6 fatalities, but I probably would not go above 7 fatalities.
So that kind of limits your score.
Yes, I know. So it's like that. I'll go the 6.5. I would recommend this to someone, which I think that speaks volumes there. But again, I would not necessarily be recommending this to my mom, who is not a fan of vulgar language or the violent gore stuff. Nor would I recommend for my 7-year-old nephew to watch it. Though that's already happened, but whatever. But again, my 22-year-old son, hey, have you seen Mortal Kombat yet? You really should. You like playing the video game? You should really watch this.
Right.
My 18-year-old, he went and saw went and saw it, and he liked it. So it's that depending on what group you are in, I definitely would recommend it. I would say, you're not going to get a Academy Award winning performance and then storyline. It's a kind of a very basic, but it is better to compared to the original storyline. So, like I said, in that in itself, it is better.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's funny where Bitter says make it's not necessarily she doesn't need to rewatch the parts that she may have missed. Um, I would stick with it that 7 range as well. I think I liked it more than you, but it's one of those movies where I don't feel I need to rewatch it.
Right.
Somebody I know wants to watch it, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not gonna go out of way to see it again until the sequel comes out. I will rewatch this before it comes, the day before, just so I could see what I might have forgotten.
Right.
But again, I think they handled the franchise very nicely in this. They did it proud, and I don't feel there was really much of anything that they missed out on. Yeah. I mean, again, it overly impressed. I thought the script was better than the original. I thought the lines were due. The actors did a really great job with it. The gore was there. Special effects were solid, and I think every character had a well established background. I think that even if it was just through comments, I think that they did establish everybody's history. Some were more detailed than others, but
Right.
in general, the characters that we saw on the good side, there was a reason to care about them.
Yep.
And what's important to know is that even though numerous characters were killed, in Mortal Kombat, a game that's based around literally killing your opponent every round, characters in Mortal Kombat do not stay dead forever.
Well, he makes the big baddie makes the comment is like they may have died, but they will rise again, or something of that nature. So
Yeah, zombies, zombified versions in the games. Some of them get possessed. There's a whole sub history to just even that aspect.
Yeah. So if we see Melina and such character pop back in the sequel, I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm like, well, he died in the first one. Yeah, but it's the way the game works. Just
right.
Begun.
And for those of you that do like the game and really follow the mythology of it, I do suggest that Scorpion's Revenge movie if you have the stomach for it, because that one did follow the story of the games very detailed. They got even more into so the whole concept when Scorpion comes back to life, he does basically, for the lack of a better term, he gives up his soul to the devil. There is not a direct Satan, so to speak, in the Mortal Kombat mythology, but there is a character that's very similar to that. Just like there's not really a hell, but there is a like the Nether Realm is basically like the hell in these games. You do see more about how he comes back to life in the Scorpion's Revenge one. I mean, it's called Scorpion's Revenge. So that's a companion piece almost to this movie, in addition to just playing the games and going through the story modes.
Right. Now, let's jump in our time machines, go back to 2003, 2004, when we were roomies. Which Mortal Kombat game were we playing back then on the PS2 or PS3?
We were playing Deadly Alliance.
Deadly Alliance. That's one. I think that was the first one that I had became familiar with, at least having the crypt where you would unlock everything to get your different costumes and some of your different characters. So yeah.
Mortal Kombat. The NetherRealm Studios basically. That is probably the most in-depth game series for story, but also just the amount of content in those games, and it's not just a fighting game. Like you just mentioned, there's a whole crypt mode that has become so in-depth nowadays. It's basically a game within a game. There was an open world action game in that particular installment. There's been Tetris clones that are attached to the games. There's racing. If you buy a Mortal Kombat game nowadays, and even back into that time that you're referring to, you're going to get your money's worth for sure. But yeah, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, so fantastic game. Really took the series to a next level. And introduced us to Bore Chan, who's a big fat guy that barfs everywhere.
I do remember him.
But yeah, I look forward to playing those games again pretty shortly. I still have to finish Mortal Kombat. I think it's called Aftermath, one of the most recent ones. But yeah, I'm going to share one last thing as we wrap up. Let's see. Here we go.
Wonder what it's going to be. What does all that Pat have in store for us to see?
So I've got a lot of Mortal Kombat stuff in this game room, lots of it. But this one right here will tie into hopefully the sequel. This is an autographed photo from Johnny Cage, right there. The original character, Daniel Pesena. He
Nice.
was also the actor behind Sub-Zero and Scorpion too.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, very nice guy. He was him and Jax actually were doing convention appearances together. And very nice guys. I'm actually Facebook friends with Jax. And yeah, I definitely suggest. Yeah, I also have. All right, by request. Here we go. See, now I'm just gonna give you a tour of the game room, basically. Here we go. Here's an autographed Mortal Kombat action figure, also autographed by Johnny Cage.
Nice.
This is actually pretty expensive of a character of a 2-pack, but I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted something to get signed, so I thought it was kind of cool to do it.
Yeah. I also have the Sonya Blade pop.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, I think it's right here.
So 1-for-1 right here, Lord Cash.
What's that?
We're doing 1-for-1. Can you top this?
So I know I have the Melina pop, but I'm not sure exactly where it is right now. So that was a GameStop exclusive. But I've got.
There's a Sonya Blade movie figure from 1996. Super detailed.
Yeah, that's all I have so far. I do have a Goro 6-inch pop.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was a GameStop exclusive. I picked it up. I want to say it came out on Black Friday 2017, I think. I was up in Philly when I bought it, doing the parade up there. So that was a cool one.
I won a Mortal Kombat 2 tournament and have a big poster over there on the wall.
Nice.
But yeah, I liked Mortal Kombat just in general, and I was really happy the way this movie came out, and I look forward to the next Mortal Kombat in the movie installment. So hopefully they do get the sequel. I think it's going to depend too as far as like how well it does when it goes into theaters, like you mentioned, next month. And just so you know, Bitterits, there were 20. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We do appreciate it. Every day we do have a show at 8 p.m. is always the goal. We do have a standard schedule you see on the board, but sometimes, yes, Bitterits is throwing shade over here. So yeah, we do have tonight. You are watching I Stream, You Stream, and tomorrow you're seeing Funko Royalty. Lord Cash is going to be showing off his Funko. What do we call it? It's the pop in a box, right?
Yeah, pop in a box. I got a box in from them, and they have sent me 6 randomly pops that I've put on my wish list. And so we'll open the box up, and you will get to see what they are right up, as I am. So you get to see them when I get to see them, and then we'll talk about it. Yes. Thank you for elaborating about the song. But as I was saying, they just as I get to see them, you get to see them, and it's pretty cool for get those once a month.
You weren't thinking puppies in a box, Bitterits. Saturday we have mail call, mail time. Lord Cash has quite a few different things from the Funko, not Funko, but the wearables, basically the
Lootware.
Loot wearables. There you go. We'll take a look at some of those, and also you've got a Deadpool thing, I believe, too.
Yep.
And then Sunday we'll have Call of the Wild. That's when we basically show off some of the things we purchased out and about. Crazy card collecting hits us up on Monday. Tuesday is Slam Nation Wrestling. Wednesday is the game room, and then we start up all over again on the next Thursday. I stream, you stream. That is what we'd be looking at. So, as always, we do appreciate everybody's viewership and checking us out, because you may be watching us as a repeat, because we do have over 120 videos available on our YouTube page. Remember, New York Nerd Show is on Twitch, it is on Facebook, and it is on YouTube. So thank you so much. Please make sure, yes, I brought up my Darkwing Duck bubble gun, by the way. Because, why not?
So, I'm going to interject real quick.
Sure.
So far, worldwide, this movie has made almost $73 million. Here in the U.S., about $38 million. And then overseas, I think that's about the same over there. So definitely, it's made some money, about $35 million over international. So not too bad, about $23 million opening. Definitely could have been a lot more had, we had a more wider release.
Right.
But we'll just have to see. I'm curious as to what the budget was on this movie. Just find out if that 72 million, how much they were able to make back to warrant that sequel. I'm sure financial things, they're not going to go heavily into the box office because of it.
Right. So Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, by request, gave it a 55, yet the audience gave it 86.
Right. Now, with Rotten Tomatoes, it's kind of a sore subject, so to speak, because a lot of people, it's not rigged. I'm going to interject in that one there. So basically, it is it takes everybody's reviews and gives you a score based on. So if this person gives it a 7, this person gives it a 9, then the average is an 8.
Right.
So it just averages out what all the ratings are. So if it's rigged, it's because people on purpose are giving it a 1 or a 2-star type of, a 10%, a 20%, then that's going to bring down that overall average. And critics, it's hard to go off what they think, because they've got, the high and mighty hoity-toity perspective. Definitely, if you're going to go off of certain critics, then find those critics that you align with, specifically as far as taste goes, and look at their reviews. We'll kind of just go, well, this, because there's a movie out there that is one of my apps. Like, I want to say it's one of my absolute favorites, but it is absolutely hysterical, and it got like a 20, a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I went and watched it in the theater, and it was absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. And for the life of me, I can't think of what it is right now. And I'm trying to go through
Agent Corky Romano or whatever that was. Well, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles has a 92% tomato meter and 87% audio score. So it's not 100%. So I can't agree with Rotten Tomatoes myself.
See, there's someone out there that's giving it a 1 or a 2. It's bringing it down.
Yeah.
Pixels.
Oh, okay.
That movie has a horrible Rotten Tomato score. Like Metacritic is like a 27. It's like it just gets shot all the way down. But the nostalgia factor in that is absolutely hysterical. I love that movie.
I did too. We actually have it on DVD downstairs. I didn't mind it either. As we close up, though, would you care to guess what the score is on our most beloved Kung Pao Enter the Fist is?
I'm thinking that's like in the 20s. Like teens?
Barely.
Digits?
13%.
It just barely made teenager.
Yes. but the audience score is 69%, and I think that speaks to what you're talking about, how critically compared to audience scores. And I'm guessing this movie has become a bit of a hidden gem, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because it actually oh no, it's next Friday. Never mind. I'm looking up some of the scores. It did beat out Freddy Got Figured by 3%.
That is definitely one of the lowest rated movies out there.
Yeah, and I would agree that Kung Pao is definitely better than Freddy Got Fingered. So,
well, anyways,
how did we go from Mortal Kombat to Freddy Got Fingered? I'll never know.
To draw you a map.
I think you need a whole globe to go up and around it. Same thing, believe me. But
yep.
All right. So we do appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out our other videos on YouTube, especially. You can see reruns on Facebook and Twitch, but they do go away after time, so YouTube's your best place to check them out. Thank you so much. Spread the word of the nerd, and we'll see you next time tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Funko Royalty. For Lord Cash, Bitterrit's out in the other room, Gizmo somewhere on the floor. This is All That Pat. Adios.
Hello.